To me, deeper learning is giving all students the chance to problem solve and engage in rich mathematical tasks, having students collaborate and problem solve and really think deeply about the math that they're doing and make decisions about what strategy do I use, why do I use it, and they're really able to push themselves. I'm supporting all along the way, but I'm giving students the chance to use a variety of skills to really make sense of what's happening in the class, but also what's happening beyond and in the world. We are in our second unit of the year, which is ratios, rates, and percentages. And we've been doing a lot of work of setting up models, learning models that help us to solve ratio and rate problems. So students have been familiar with ratio tables, tape diagrams, double number lines. And so today's task was to try to use what we've already learned and try to apply it to multi-step real-world problems. And so it was a kind of a culminating task of, we know what ratios are, we know what rates are. Can we now apply our understanding to multi-step problems? We are going to start off class with a whiteboard task. After our whiteboard task, we're going to do some work, debrief, take some notes. Then we're going to do an around-the-room activity to practice a bit. At the end, we're going to do an exit ticket and reflect on how our work went for today. So it's almost Thanksgiving, right? And you are tasked this year with doing some shopping for your family. And as we do our shopping, it's important that we save money, right? We want to think about what is the best deal. So as we do our whiteboard task today, you're going to be using what we know about rates and ratios to figure out the best deal as you are going through your shopping list. As you work on today's whiteboard task, we're going to be thinking about communicating with our group. You're going to be in your random groups, as always, and we're going to be thinking about how are we talking with our group to make sure that everyone's on the same page, everyone knows what we're doing, we have a plan, and we're really collaborating here.
So I can write 12. Okay, that's 10. Okay, so then 10, you, that one at work. Decimal. Yeah, with the decimal point there, you bring down this at the 0, so now it's 100. And would it be 96 times 8? Yeah, so because you have 96, 4. That's 4. And then the 8, and that's 4. Because
So we know that there's 12 Kirkland paper towels and for $22.08. So we wanted to find the unit price for one paper towel. So we divided 12 by 12 to get one. Then we decided so whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. So we divided 22.08 divided by 12, and then we did our division to get $1.84 to get our unit price.
Awesome.
So that's what it's for each.
And then what's your next step from here?
Our next step is to see how much it is for each for the paper towels at Costco, for Target, sorry, and to see which one is a better price to get for one.
Awesome. So why are we looking for the unit rate here? Is there a reason why? Can I hear from someone else? Why are we trying to get to one for Kirkland and one for Target?
So then we can see which one is the better deal.
And how will we know it's the better deal?
Because it's cheaper.
Cheaper per
Towel.
one roll? Okay, awesome. Cool, I like that strategy. Let's keep going. I really like how I could see your strategy. When I came over, I had a good idea about what you guys were doing. So that's great. Keep it up.
3 potatoes. So to get the unit rate, we divided 3 divided by 4.17. And we got 1.39, so for one potato, we have to do 1.39.
Great. And so are we going to do the same thing with the white potatoes?
Yep.
Can someone else tell me, someone new, can someone tell me what's your next step after this? So if we found the unit rate, that's going to help us tell cheaper per pound. What about the second part of the question? What's our next step?
And how much money would you save by buying 7 pounds? So we have to multiply the next part.
Okay, cool. What are you going to multiply once you find the unit rate?
1.39 and 1.89.
By what?
7.
Cool. So you're going to find 7 pounds? Okay. I love how you organize with the ratio table because when I came over, I could see okay, they're setting up, they've got the cost and the pounds, and I could see what you were thinking here. So I really like the model that you guys chose. Great. Keep going. As I'm looking around the room, there's so much great math work. And what was great is as I was coming to check in with groups, I could follow our strategies. I could see people setting up ratio tables or setting up their ratios. I could see the division that was happening. So it was really great that I could follow. That was one of our goals for today. I think a powerful part of whiteboard task work is the debrief, where I'm really able to make a priority of observing student work and really looking for strategies that were used or models that were used to solve problems. What I like about this group is I see Costco's here and I see Target's here. Remember that Costco was $22.08 for 12 packs and Target was $15.48 for 6 packs. What did this group do here to compare and to find the better deal? Again, I'm gonna have you turn and talk to someone next to you. Turn and talk. Giving students the opportunity to observe different strategies or different models helps them learn from each other. By giving them the opportunity to look at their own student work and then make observations and make connections with each other, it makes the learning more authentic. Jackson, what do we think they did here?
So they figured out, they needed to know what the cost was. So by doing that, they did the paper towels and divided them by 12 because they knew there were 12 of them. And then they did the same for the cost to get $1.48.
Awesome, guys, awesome. So they found how much for one paper towel by dividing by 12 so they could find the unit rate. Great, and then what did they do for Target? What about for Target? Connor?
They divided both sides by 6 to get the unit rate for one toilet paper or paper towel roll for Target. And then I believe they compared the cost between the Costco unit rate and the Target unit rate, and they got the Costco one to be the better deal.
Oh, so you said that once they found the unit rate for each place, they looked at the cost per paper towel and found which one was the better deal. Again, let's take 30 seconds to observe this group strategy. We're looking at part B. I see that they labeled the russet potatoes here and the white potatoes here. Let's look through their work. There were multiple steps to this problem, and I want us to think, what did this group do?
Basically, the reason why they found the unit rate for both of them is so that, basically the cost, the amount of pounds you can buy for each of them was different, so they had to make them the same amount and then multiply them back to 7 to compare the cost for 7 pounds, and we found that the russet potatoes have a better deal than the white potatoes.
Interesting, you made a really good point. When we first had the information about potatoes, we had 3 pounds and 5 pounds, and it's hard to compare 3 pounds to 5 pounds and know what the better deal is, right? So by getting to the unit rate, we got them both to 1 pound, and if we figured out how much 1 pound was for each type of potato, then we can then multiply to get to 7 pounds. So sometimes, and this is a really good point, Connor, sometimes when we're making comparisons between rates, which is our goal for today, we have to get one of the units to be the same in order to make a comparison. Did anyone have a strategy different than this group strategy when they found the cost for the russet potatoes? Or which one is the better deal? Did any group have a different strategy? Did anyone set up ratios kind of like this, where you set up the ratio and then figured out what you have to divide by? All right. Great. So we are going to take some notes based on this task. And your notes are actually going to be on part B. So we're going to take notes so that if we do a problem 3 weeks from now where you're comparing rates, you could use today's activity to help you remember some strategies that we used. Now, I'm looking at the question, and I love the unit rate strategy they used, but the question also said, how much money would you save buying 7 pounds? So what else do we need to, it's a good first step, pause for a minute. It's a good first step. What else do we need to do though here, just to answer that second part of the question? Yeah, let's do that too. I just want to hear from 1 or 2 people, what did you record in your notes as your strategy? What did we talk about today during our whiteboard task? And you're like, yes, this is the strategy that I'm going to use when I see another problem like this. What was the strategy that you used? Michael, what was your strategy?
So what our strategy was, we used the dividing one to get the unit rate.
We are going to continue now comparing rates, But instead of just worrying about rates when we're talking about pounds and cost or quantity and cost, we're going to work with a variety of different rates. It might be miles per gallon or feet per seconds or words per minute. Remember that rates are ratios that compare quantities with two different units of measurement. So miles and gallon or feet per second. When you are done solving, you're going to flip to the back. You're going to look at how I solved it, and you're going to check for the answer. See, were you accurate in solving? If you were accurate, great. You're going to close it back up, find another problem to work on. If you were not accurate solving, I want you to look and see, can you find what your mistake was? And if you can find it, talk about the mistake with your partner. If you can't find your mistake, though, please make sure to come check in with me, and I'll help clarify, and we can go over it together. It's a good place to start. I love that.
Alright, so 280 divided by 8.
And round around. Alright, what are we going to do for this one?
2 divided by 8.
You want to read it out loud?
8 divided by 8 divided by 2. And then to get to 28, that would be 3 and 4.
What do we think of? So I see you're already working. Can we pause for a minute just to make sure Lizzie's on the same page? What are we comparing in this problem?
Okay, there are two
Great, so heartbeat when she's playing basketball and heart rate when she's jogging. Great. Ooh, how do we know that?
Because 6 plus 6 equals 12, and if we do 15 plus 15 equals 30, and then we know 30 is bigger than 25.
Cool, I like that you're using that reasoning too of just like the relationship between those amounts, and you could just double this and figure that that's more than what it was in 12 and a half. I like that. When you're done, check the back, see what you got.
Since 3 times 3 is 9, we can just multiply both sides of Diego's cost by 3. So remember, it's we're trying to figure out if they paid at the same rates. So, okay. Now we have to multiply the cost of Diego's by 3. So let's do that. 175.50 times 3.
Yeah, then can you just go over with him where you got the dividing? Let's say we're just all stuck.
Yeah, and so we know 65, like you can drive more miles for if you drive 65, and 36.
Nice. Good job helping us. Helping figure out that.
More miles, yeah.
So if we can transition back to our original seats, and we're going to do that last bit independently. There's an exit ticket, and we're going to spend 4 minutes to work on that independently. You can refer back to your notes if you need to look back at your notes. You could refer back to your notes if you need a reminder of the strategies you've been using. Use multiplication chart for when you guys go. I also have a so you get this, but then it also does have the steps of the division. If you look here, so it can remind you of the steps that we take. Okay. What's 2 times 2?
4. We should have put a 4 down.
So the 4 instead of the 2. And if we fix that, I think you'll be in good shape. I want to know how you feel about comparing rates. So after you finish the task, there's 2 questions. How do you feel about comparing rates? And what strategy or model did you use today to help you?